Thanks for checking out my Kalanchoe Tubiflora. And it's in bloom. Look at these beautiful flowers here. Now they're bell-shaped and salmon-colored, but they don't have a scent, so they don't smell. But you can see they're really, really delicate. It's such a cool plant. Now, this plant is native to Madagascar, and you can see it's similar to I call this the mother of millions, but it's similar to the mother of thousands, except for that this one has more tubular leaves. See, they're not as wide. So they're about 2 to 5 inches, the leaves are. And they have their little tiny plantlets, see them? So each of these little things on the leaves will become babies, believe it or not. That's why they call it the mother of millions. I think the foliage is really stunning, especially when it kind of sways, I guess. And it will grow about 3 feet tall and will spread in time at least 5 feet or more, because you can see all the pups. So down here, there are so many pups that have just spawned or grown by themselves here. I have not done anything but just water this plant about once a week. Now, you can take this plant from cuttings rather easily. You could cut it, say, like here, if you wanted to. Let it callus over and pop off a few of these leaves up above and plant it, and it will grow. But you can also grow it from these little plantlets as well. So like I said, this likes well-draining soil. You can also grow this in pots, and many people grow it indoors as well. And you can see why. It's just a beautiful looking plant. The colors, it's drought tolerant once established. It's just stunning. So I have these throughout the yard, and I do not grow them indoors. I just grow them in native soil, and they like to bloom mid-December. Now, if you overwater them, they will rot, so definitely let them dry out between waterings. And if you do choose to grow them indoors, make sure they get plenty of sunlight. You can see here, this is an overcast day, but generally it will get about 80% of the day in full sun here in this spot in our yard, 70 to 80% of the day. And these are very happy here. Good morning, thanks for checking out my Kalanchoe Fedtschenkoi. Lavender scallops is the common name. And it's a member of the stone crop family. And it's a shrubby succulent that's native to Madagascar. It will form a colony in time, as you can see. I got this from just 2 cuttings a few years ago. And look at it now. So, its flowers here are formed on upright clusters. As you can see, really prolific bloomer. And they're on these upright stems that are about 10 inches to a foot in height. Now, the flowers themselves are kind of like a reddish brown. Here's one that's opened up. And really just kind of delicate, but actually they're not that delicate because we had a huge hailstorm the other day, and this thing looks pretty undamaged. Except for, I guess you can see on the leaves, there is some damage from the hail. But that happens. Now, speaking of the leaves here, the foliage is going to be different colors depending on the sunlight exposure of the leaves. In other words, you can see this gets more sunlight here, so it's more of the lavender color, pinks and kind of purples. And back here, you can see over here under the pygmy date palm back there, it's green, see? So you'll get a lot of variation. If you don't give them much sunlight, they're going to be mostly that color right there. But if you give them enough sunlight, you'll get this beautiful colors like this. Now, we've done a video on a variegated form. Well, actually, there are 2 forms. There's a tricolor called Aurora Borealis, and then the variegated form. Those are stunning plants as well, but not in bloom right now. So the maximum height of this plant will be 1 to 3 feet. You can see about 3 feet when it's blooming. And the width will be 1 to 2 feet. And it will colonize under the right conditions. You can see here in Southern California, Zone 9B, this plant gets a nice bit of afternoon shade. And that's really perfect for this plant and first morning sunlight. Now, if you grow this plant in a full sun environment, it's going to be really woody and get burned in the summer. Now, in addition, I've noticed that this plant likes well-draining soil. It's really beautiful. This plant likes well-draining soil, so make sure that it has some excellent drainage. You can grow it in pots, but you can see it will outgrow a pot pretty quickly. Just a year or two, in my opinion, depending on your pot. And last but not least, they're a bit more thirsty. This succulent, maybe it's just because of the size of the leaves, the width of them, but it's a bit more thirsty than other succulents in my collection. So let the soil dry out, but make sure you give it enough water that it's not going to turn all shrivelly. Okay, so there you go. Kalanchoe Fedtschenkoi, really stunning blooming winter bloomer, I should say, in Southern California. Good morning, this is Paul, and today I'm showing off our Northern Lights lavender scallop. Some people call them the tricolor lavender scallop, and they have an even more confusing name, which would be, I call them Kalanchoe, but everybody else online calls them Kalanchoe. So this is Kalanchoe Fedtschenkoi, or Bryophyllum Fedtschenkoi. It's native to Madagascar, and it's named after a Russian botanist. So this one is variegated form, but it's got that extra pink on the top. Now, the standard variegated form, the Variegata, has some pink as well, but this tricolor has a bit more, and it will pop a lot more in the summertime when it's warmer. Right now it's been cold, and it's the end of March, and I grow this outdoors. So they do have plenty of blooms here, plenty of blossoms. You can see, really stunning flowers. And I'll go show you the standard variegated form, talk more about it, and also the regular lavender scallop. So we have all three here in the yard, so let's go check them out. The lighting's better with the other two. But again, look at this one, see the extra pink, and we'll go look right now at the variegated form, the one that is not labeled Northern Lights or tricolor, or some even, I saw, call it Aurora or Borealis. So let's go check it out. So here is a regular variegated form. So you can see it does have some pink on it, but not quite as much as the tricolor. Although it's really hard for me to tell the difference. I had to look at my notes to make sure. And then look at this. Sometimes you'll get some pink growth here when it's cold, which is very pink. And then you'll also get some really solid white here as well. See it down there? So definitely some similarities between these two, but also some minor differences. But they're very, very similar. The variegated and the tricolor. You can see the roots growing here. It's really easy to take from cuttings here and propagate them. I grow mine in ground, in soil, and they do fine. They get really, really big. They kind of fall over, and then they'll root and spread. Now, do keep some well-draining soil. It is important to have well-draining soil for these succulents, and they're hardy to about 25 to 28 degrees. So again, this is the variegated form, but it does have that pink, and it will pop a lot more and change this summer. So maybe I'll do an update on that just so you can see the variation between the seasons on these lovely, lovely succulents. All right, I'll go show you the standard form. It has the most flowers on it right now. And here is the standard form Kalanchoe Fedtschenkoi. So again, native to Madagascar, hardy to 25 to 28 degrees, And this is the regular version of lavender scallops. Likes part sun to full shade. They'll tolerate quite a bit of sun, but they really almost kind of die back and wither in the summer when growing outdoors in Southern California. Now this variety has more blue-green leaves, and it's kind of thick and fleshy, but the flowers are very similar to the other two varieties I showed you. Very beautiful this time of year. And the plant color is just different. You can see it's more green, and the new growth comes out green instead of white. So on this variety of lavender scallops, and then you'll see in the cold weather, we'll kind of really turn them lavender, the leaves. But man, they bloom for several months of the year in Southern California in the winter. They're a winter bloomer, and one of the easiest varieties to take from cuttings. So they thrive in our climate, and this gets overspray from our lawn, you can see, and they're really happy here on this wall, this little border wall, and they just really thrive in Southern California. So there you go. I hope that provides some clarity on this variety, because there's actually three, but two of them look very similar to me. But you can see the standard form is just as beautiful. This is Kalanchoe tomentosa, chocolate soldier. Now tomentosa means fuzzy, felt like coating. And you can see on the leaves there, it's very soft and beautiful. And what that does is it provides sun protection and prevents water loss. So it's a great adaptation on these plants. Now, in addition, you can see that if you grow it in full sun, it's going to be more of a rusty brown color, where we grow ours in part sun. So it's going to have that beautiful silvery green color with that lovely chocolate brown on the margins of the leaves. So it does really well here in Southern California, outdoors, in the soil, with well-draining soil. So it's really happy here, and it's hardy to about 25 degrees. Now, if you choose to grow it indoors, I'd recommend giving it a lot of sunlight and growing it in a pot. These plants do really well potted. If you grow it outdoors, I recommend well-draining soil and part sun. I think that afternoon sun in our climate will just kill this thing, so it really needs filtered sunlight. Also, please note that the leaves are poisonous, so don't eat them, or don't let your pets eat them. But it's a very slow-growing plant, native to Madagascar, that I just really enjoy. It's a really beautiful little succulent with a wonderful soft texture. So again, this is Kalanchoe tomentosa, chocolate soldier. It's a beautiful succulent. All right, give us a like and a subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Take care.